We are very glad to stand here to make a presentation. The topics 3D printing, as you can see in the PPT. And I will firstly introduce the background information, China industry issue. And as you can see, with the appreciation of RMB, China's official currency, and raising labor costs, disruptive technologies, and change in consumers' preferences, we have old advantages, but now there is nothing. And it can be a very big challenge in the China. So here comes the questions. What can we do to solve these problems in the manufacturing fields? Here, I will introduce our content and structures of the presentation. My part is China's industry issue. And as you can see, we have some problems. We lose some advantages in the manufacturing fields. However, 3D technologies appears and it made a hit in the worldwide. And what is the 3D technologies? What is pros and cons and the impacts of the world manufacturing issues, the world manufacturing fields, and China manufacturing fields? And from the external factors, there were exploration problems of patent. And secondly, the 3D technologies are growing fast in the worldwide. So, when we give an introduction to the 3D technologies, we will come into the supply chain part. And instead of the tradition top to bottom supply chain, we come up with a supply chain that from bottom to the top, which means we pay much attention to the demand. And we need the demand information so we can do better supply chain to the supply side. So it is demand side matters in our new model. And now, then we are going to a solution part. And we came up with a new conceptual, that is B2C model, business to customers. And it is it's very good to further explain our supply chain, new supply chain, bottom to top. And then finally, we can make a reflection on our solutions to make a cost and risk analysis. So this is our content of our presentation. Let's welcome Candice to introduce the 3D technologies and some other analysis for us. Thank you.
Thanks to Alex's introduction. Now we've come to the part of the 3D. So we have seen the problem of Chinese industry, like the raising cost, and for our client, it's a traditional Chinese manufacturer. What can it do to produce more efficiently? Then we will introduce the 3D industry, the 3D technology. And first we will analyze the pros and cons of 3D and the traditional manufacturer. For 3D, we think it has 3 pros. For them, the first one is efficiency, and it can be divided to time efficiency and space efficiency. For example, when traditional they have variable costs and they are inflexible because you have to produce them like in a certain factory. But for 3D, and we learn from the RU's example, that you can set a shop and you can just produce there, so the customer can get the product there and immediately. And also for the product part, the product is the first one is that it can produce more complex product with the 3D because you have just draw a blueprint instead of using some manual factors. And also the product can be responsive quickly to the trend of the industry. As mentioned before, the Chinese customer, they have different tastes and different preference, and the preference is changing fast. So how can it? For traditional, it has a big system to adjust to the change. But for 3D, it's very quick. You can just adjust the blueprint. And also for 3D, it's environment friendly, where it reduces carbon dioxide, and also like for traditional part, the factory and the it costs many solutions. But 3D now has some limitations, and we believe these limitations can be overcome like later. Because, the first one is legal. Now the 3D patent is very expensive, and the cost may be 500 to 1,000 times the traditional cost because of the patent. So the technology is limited to a number of products, to a number of producers. And also the ethical, because there's news that some people produce a gun with a 3D print. So I think that's a problem, but it needs further laws to regulate it. And as mentioned before, the legal problem. And we have to mention the patent part and the expiration of patent. First, why is patent expiration from in US the patent will expire like in 20 years, and the 3D technology is invented in 1980s, and some new technology came after that. So like after 20 to 30 years, the patent will soon expire. And now in 2015, right? The expiration there will be large scale of expiration. And what will be the impact of patent expiration? First, it will stimulate an explosion. As mentioned before, the technology limitation was limited to certain producers as for the very, very high cost. But when the patent is expired, the cost will be soon reduced, and more and more producers will get the technology, and they will put into produce. And also, as for the in the second part, the low cost of 3D, and it will soon influence the whole market, and there will be more competitor, and the competitor will force the price to drop to a certain period. So our client is a Chinese manufacturer. It's a traditional manufacturer, and maybe it can use the advantage of the expired patent to produce new product. Now came to our supply chain. We came up during with all the illustration before. We came up with a supply chain, and we call it bottom-up supply chain here. Bottom-up supply chain. And for the traditional supply chain, it contains several parts like supply, manufacturing, distribution, and customer. And the main change is here. We can produce the supply chain will be final goods to just two customers. We can save the for the traditional part, we'll deliver the product to different like intermediate storage and to customers. But for the new supply chain, we will just deliver the machine, because you can deliver the machine to the shop to produce there, and it is further reduce the delivery cost. And let's move up about the raw material. The new material will be a typical acrylic-based material, which can be applied to more emerging industries and can produce more complex productions. And also, just when we want to analyze it, and we find that a traditional part, when traditional produce, there will be very high cost of transition products because of the preference change. And for the 3D part, we can have low inventory, and we can just adjust the product all the time. So it will lower our cost. And what was mentioning is that what is bottom-up supply chain. For the initial supply chain, you have to design a product, then it will be put into production. And from the bottom-up supply chain, you can the product can be decided from the demand side, which means the customer can for example, the tailor-made product, the customer can decide what they want, and it will just be quickly respond to the produced part, and they may design certain product to cater into the new trend or new demand. And then let's hurry to further develop our solution.
Thanks. So, ladies and gentlemen, we confirm believe that the 3D printing is embracing its spring in China for the following reasons. The first is the imitative innovation in China. You know that you may use the WeChat before. This is one kind of software in China, but the initial idea is from the foreign companies. The Tencent company just imitate that and develop that, so that's widely used in the world. And second, this is Chinese well-established infrastructure. Chinese companies always encourage to put enough money into this industry to develop this kind of product. The third reason, not to mention low labor and material costs. That's why so many foreign companies choose China to produce their products. And the fourth reason is the government support. We know government is just like it's always guides the it's use regulations to guide some capital or technology into this kind of area. So we believe that from the four reasons, we can embrace the future. So our first strategy suggested is we think they should do real innovation. We should not just copy the product, we should improve the product, and we should make the product more widely used in the world. And the second innovation is in design. We know that the produce procedure is just earn a little margin in the whole process. So we believe that by designing the product, they can get more from the process and get more profit. And second is lies in the ecosystem. This is what we mean B2C, business to consumer, supply to demand. First, we think we should design the product according to the needs of the consumers, and we can take advantage of the internet to do some online service. We can contact with our consumer on the internet, and we can know their needs, and we can design the product for them. And the most important reason for developing this is that we can take advantage of the big data we get from from online. So we can get more resource information from that, and we can get more tailor-made products. And the third is lies in the global support team. We think we should, in order to reduce the transportation costs, we should transport our 3D printing machine into all of the worldwide, and we can make our teams servers for the consumers in the local. And the third strategy is transition. We think this strategy should be applied to some emerging industry applications, such as biotech industry. We can produce the organ if we need. So now let's welcome Cindy to give you some implement and conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Now, let me present you risk and cost analysis. As for the risk, we think the biggest risk is that China is lacking in shelf innovation. And as my partner said before, the innovation in China is mostly imitative innovation instead of self-innovation. So, this is a major risk of our solution. So, we think for the implement, human capital development is very important. We should develop the working conditions of the employees, such as flexible working time, or higher salaries to encourage their dedication to their job and encourage their self-innovation. As for the cost, I think biggest cost is the research cost. It's the cost of research and development is quite higher. So the government support is quite essential. In recent years, China has carried a lot of policies to encourage the development of 3D and self-innovation. So the government support could carry some of the cost and help the development of the technology. Another cost is the fixed cost. When we decentralize the industry, we need much 3D machines to flag shops. So the fixed cost is quite high. But as my partner said before, with the technology developing, the cost of the machine could be reduced to a pretty low level. So we also can control this cost. So that's my partner to conclude.
Okay. Finally, we will come to the content part again, and I will just finalize it. And first, we introduce the China industry issues, for example, the increasing cost and lower PMI, and also what can we do about the increasing cost of a human being, and we introduce the 3D part. And the pros and cons is that it can lower the cost of maybe human costs and efficiency costs and delivery costs, and it can better reduce the cost only in the condition that there will be no patent issues. And what we find is the expiration deadline is close, and we can take advantage of it and use the 3D. And that's why we use the 3D. And about the supply chain, we use the bottom supply chain to better lower the delivery cost and to lower the cost of transition product. And also we can produce better product with the supply chain. And also what I forgot to mention before is the supply is one part of the supply chain. It's a final goods supply. It's a final goods, and it's we can set a shop and just produce some simple part there, and it can better catering and better response to the customer's needs. And then when we introduce our B2C model, it is our solution. So for implement, we suggest that we build a response system. When we collect data from the online shop, we collect data from the applications, and we can better catering their needs and products. And also, like when we find that the design of the product is usually in Europe or in US, which increase the cost and lower our benefit. And with the B2C model, we can better design our own product, and it's more creative and more innovation. And with the technology, it's very the low cost technology, we can make it possible, and we can also invite our customers to design their own product. It's also a B2C model. And as for the risk and cost, we believe that the benefit it brings and the lower cost, because of the expired patent will be more than the cost it costs. And about the risk, we believe with the laws and regulations, it will be less and less ethics problems, and the patent problem will be better regulated, and the expired patent can be used by us. So that's our presentation. Thank you. We believe that our client will have a better future with the 3D technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you judges have any questions?
I heard a lot of advantages and a lot of benefits of using the 3D. Could you describe, other than those you've mentioned on the slide, the disadvantage of 3D technology or the downside of using 3D, other than those on the slide?
One advantage that on the slide is that it can reduce the
Disadvantage.
disadvantage of the
Yes.
3D. First is now it has limitation to produce very big, very large and the size is limited. So the bigger product can be difficult to produce, and also like the material, they use different material, and for some steel they use a particular material. So as for steel and other material often used in the like car industry or something, it can be not produced in the 3D machine. I think that's a limitation of product. And
I have something to add. The machine produces the 3D product, but the quality is doubtful. And when we produce the thing by human, we can make sure the quality to some extent. But if it is produced from a machine, a 3D machine, we doubt if it is of good quality. Besides, the maintenance of the machine needs to pay attention to, because it is a machine. It's easy to depreciate. So we need to pay great attention to maintain the situation of the machine.
one thing I have to mention is that the protection of patent will become more difficult, because all you need is a blueprint, and for initial part they have different technology to produce the machine, but now you just need a product. You need a blueprint to print everything, so it will be very difficult to protect it.
And I think another disadvantage of that is need a lot of time to produce a product right now, because when we produce 3D printing, we need to produce layer by layer, so that needs a lot of time to do that. And but I think in the future, as technology develops, we can solve that problem by a more advanced machine.
So when you talk about pros and cons on one of your slides, you also mentioned that efficient is on both traditional and 3D. Could you further elaborate why you see efficiency in both sides?
For the efficiency in 3D, it can reduce the time to transit it, and reduce the time to response to the train. But for actual production, the traditional have time efficiency to produce it. As 3D, it takes a long time to produce one product, and it can only be applied to low volume production because of the low speed to produce it. But as for the big picture, like for the response, it will be efficient.
So you mean the mass production of traditional methods?
Yes.
That can have better efficiency. Thank you.
Does 3D printing do better in some manufacturing industries than others? Which are the best manufacturing industries you see 3D printing supporting?
So what industry is for?
Yeah, rather than just generic Chinese manufacturing.
Um,
What are the manufacturers or type of products?
Okay, thank you for your question. And I think the industry will be tailor-made industry and a low volume industry, low volume and manual industry. And for the mass production, it actually the 3D actually doesn't apply to it. But for the low volume and some very unique things, it can do better than human being. And for some complex products, we have to design it delicately. Those will be more suitable for 3D production.
Just as Kenneth mentioned, the 3D printing is just practiced into producing the low volume product, and it has a simple structure. But when we produce large structures such as the plane, the automobile, we still need laborers to assemble them and to put them together to get to a final product. So I think it should be used to produce a simple product.
And as we mentioned, the bottom-up model, and it also can be better applied to the low volume production, and it can better tailor the products the customer's need, but it will be not applied to mass production.
Do you think 3D will gradually take over the manufacturing, traditional manufacturing? Do you think so? Or wouldn't you think so?
Of course now, if the 3D will take the place of the traditional manufacturing industry, and we only need some engineer and some machines to make the whole system work. But it's not actually the thing. We still need people to produce some very delicate things, and we still need the specific machine to make mass production.
Yeah, I think the 3D printing is just improving the efficiency of the manufacturing industry, but it will not replace that all, because for some reason, just as I mentioned, if you manufacture a airplane, you still need labor to produce the complex part, and as for some goods such as the diamond, why you would like to pay for the diamond for so much money? That's just because it's handmade. So we believe 3D printing will not add its value on that way.
Can I add something? And for some industry and for our daily use, it will be a certain model to make it. And as for 3D, I think its advantage it can be adjust fast, and something that like the chair, we don't need to adjust it to a very high-tech level. And I think for the simple things, for the simple and mass product things, on the 3D part the 3D will not replace it.
Yeah, it's just make people to do more things that make more sense. We don't need to spend so much time in dealing with such messy things, right?
But don't you think there will be a change of the job types in the market, because people will be doing things, and people are manufacturing differently. People are supplying things through the chain differently, and people will require to different new skills to be able to participate in this 3D printing process. You know, you have different parties playing different roles, and their roles are quite new, because at the start there will be very few people who knows how to configure the 3D products. Do you think it will change the market or will not change the market?
I think the market is actually changing. As for the labor cost is increasing, and people are more educated in China. So there will be more and more skilled workers. If we does not apply the 3D, if we does not apply the 3D technology, there will be more and more people who have no job, because they have better education, but the work is just that simple. So I think the better technology can better fix the gap between the educated worker and the simple job.
Yeah, they should put their valuable time into more valuable things.
I just want to explore something that you said, which was printing closer to the customer. So Chinese manufacturers sell a lot to America. Would you expect to see a 3D printing facility set up in America? So a Chinese firm now
Yes.
has
Mhm.
printing
Yes.
capability in
Less
America.
competition.
Let me answer the question. And I think China is something in China is different from what in US is that US innovation is just innovation, but in Chinese it's imitative innovation. And but it's not just copy the product. We will like use the existing product and just adjust it and improve it. And but in China it can better lower the cost. And so I think in America and China it's different model to work. In China it can produce some like not that innovative thing, but with improved quality and improved technology, but lower cost, and it can export to America. But in US it's mainly in charge of the like little lower like just lower volume products for some very innovative thing.
Okay, so you still see the benefit is in China is lower cost manufacturing, just using 3D printing and still shipping it cheaper.
We will also do some development, research and development. As my members mentioned in the presentation, their government has to do a lot of things about this. For example, they build up a specific department to guide this field to develop more developed technologies of 3Ds. And actually, China's technology is not that advanced. In fact, so we should learn more from other advanced countries first, and we do some improvement according to our specific clients and specific conditions of our country.
Yeah, after all, Chinese are not good inventors, but they are good followers. So they can develop the technology to a higher level. For example, in the case, one Chinese company developed a residence using the 3D painting, and that's the first residence built in that way in the world. So that's what Chinese do.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
So I will give a conclusion. In a conclusion, we firmly believe that with the B2C model and bottom to up supply chain, China's manufacturers can make full use of 3D technologies in the future and keep going on the road of world factory. Thank you very much.
Thank you.